part 2 about building a kiosk app using App Factory and the AV publishing solution. This part is devoted to looking at Newsstand and how to take advantage of this new functionality on Apple's iOS 5 system. So today we're looking at Newsstand. Coming soon, you will see some other aspects in forthcoming webinars. We'll show you a number of things that are coming up in the area of interactive content, children books. We'll also speak in a few weeks about the new functionality of the plugins, and we'll also speak about it very, very soon because we have some great stuff for you. But today, we'll look at kiosks, and what you need to really be able to do what we will be showing today is App Factory. And there is a current version of App Factory that already supports Newsstand. We would want you to wait for the version that comes tomorrow, and I'll explain why in a minute. You also need My Kiosk, which is available on the App Store to test some of your content. So why do we need to wait until tomorrow? Well, as maybe some of you have noticed, Apple is changing some of its rules very regularly, and they tend to enforce some, let's say, some conditions on the applications, which is good because it makes sure that the application will work fine. But as a result, they sometimes introduce new rules, and they just introduced a new one last week, which is to ban certain apps that use what they call private APIs. And although we don't use private APIs at all, we have some methods in our kiosks that have the same name as one of the methods that they now ban. And as a result, you can face rejection just because our kiosk uses that method. And it's very unfortunate because this method is called setIssue, and of course, because we're dealing with issues, titles, publication, it was quite likely that we had such a method in our code, and yes, we have. So a few apps can be rejected because of that. We have corrected the bug today, and we'll issue an update tomorrow. So make sure that you use the version that comes out tomorrow to get the latest and greatest apps and not face any rejection. So let's have a look at what Newsstand is all about. And to start, I will first go to the iTunes Store. As you may know, Apple has introduced this new section in the store, which is called Newsstand, here in French, kiosk. And what happens here is that all the publications that sort of are regularly posted or that have subscription models attached can be aggregated here. So it's a great way to actually find publications on the App Store. And there are several things that are quite interesting about those publications. First of all, if I look at this app, for example, you'll notice that there is an icon that doesn't look like an app icon. And that's one of the features of Newsstand, is that the apps don't show up as apps, but they show up as content. And the cover of the content can change on a daily basis. And I urge you to have a look at Newsstand's documentation to see how to take advantage of that. For example, in order to change the content, you need to provide a RSS feed with a number of information. But there are some great functionalities in there. One of the other aspects of Newsstand is, of course, when you go to the iOS, to the iPad itself, or the iPhone, because it works on the iPhone as well. You do get a new icon, I'm sure you're familiar with, and this icon is the place where you can actually find all the Newsstand capable apps. There is a Newsstand area, so you see there's one app here. You can access the store, which is essentially the same store as the one we've seen here. And there are some key features about the apps in Newsstand. Sorry if this is something some of you know already, but it's important to understand why you would want to adopt this technology. First of all, of course, all the Newsstand capable apps show up in this area, which is great because people know where to find their publication. Secondly, they change aspect. The cover changes as you decide, so this is great as well because you can make the app look as a real publication. And third, there is a very interesting download model that Newsstand introduces, which is the background download. If your app is Newsstand enabled, you can take advantage of having your content downloaded in the background. So, for example, if you publish a new content, all your users will be notified and will show you how this works. And then once notified, the app, even if the iPad is not awake, will wake up and will start the app, trigger the start of the download for the content, and then shut down. And once the content is fully downloaded, it will be an area that the iOS 5 has created. And once you launch the app, the content will move to inside the app, and you will be able to, your users will be able to read it immediately. So that's a great model because you don't have to do much, and the OS takes care of a lot of very complicated aspects of downloading in the background. So we want to take advantage of that, and we have modified App Factory and AV Publishing portals so that you can create very easily Newsstand capable apps, and we'll show you how to do that right now. So what we need really, and I'm sure you're now familiar with the aspect of creating a kiosk. You know that there are a number of things that you need to do on Apple's side, and a number of things that you need to do on the AV publishing side. So we'll start with Apple, and on Apple's portal, really there are two things that you want to set up for your app. The first one is subscriptions, because Newsstand works with apps that have subscription models. And the second thing is notification. It's very natural. You need to be able to tell the app when new content becomes available. So in order to do that, we will set it up on the, I will show you how to set that up. But it's very standard. There's nothing specific to our solution here. It's just standard Apple iOS development. If you remember, or if you've attended the previous webinars, we created an app. We declared it on iTunes Connect. We went through all the steps in the webinar, and this app is called Aquadesign US. So it's a magazine called Aquadesign, and so you see we've created an app with this bundle ID, and we already set up some in-app purchase for buying single issues. So that has been done in the previous webinar. I encourage you to have a look at that. Now what we want to do, and that we didn't do before, is enable the app for notification. Look at that first. To do that, you must be familiar with it. You have to go to the developer.apple.com.ios website and access the provisioning portal for your account, and you can access your app IDs and configure each app ID. So here, this is the app ID for the app that I just showed you in iTunes Connect, and I simply enabled Apple push notification. So this is something that you need to do. Very simply select this option and then generate the certificates. To do that, you have to use your keychain to generate a request, and then post that request, and it will generate a certificate that you can download. It's very standard, and it's well documented on Apple's site. I won't go through that aspect there. So that's one thing that you need to do. And once you have done that, you can download those certificates. And I've downloaded them, and I've put them in my keychain. As you can see, there is a development certificate and there is a production certificate. Okay, so that's the notification part on Apple's website. And the other thing that you need to do is set up in-app purchase and Newsstand. So to set up in-app purchase, simply go to your app, go to manage in-app purchases, and here what you want to do is you want to create a subscription. As you can see, in the previous webinar I had created this item, which is a single item, and earlier today I've created this subscription, which is a monthly subscription for this publication. So it's just a name that you have to type in, and what is important is the ID of the. So I've created a 2-month subscription. I could add another duration. It's 6 months. So what's very important is the name, the product ID, because this is the one that you want to reuse on okay, sale, yes, choose a price tier, let's say, okay, 16. So now I have 2 subscriptions that are available here. Okay, so creating subscription, very easy on Apple's website. Now let's have a look at the application on AV Publishing. I'm reusing the app that I created in the previous webinar. So again, have a look at this webinar to see how this was done. And basically, I've created an app, so I'm using the same bundle ID that I used on iTunes Connect, of course. Here, sorry, let's just show that in English rather than in French to be better. So here it is. Okay. So bundle ID, here it is. I had created 2 products in the last webinar, and I've added a subscription. To add a subscription, it's very easy. You select the title for which you want to add the subscription. You choose subscription. You give it a name. And you enter the details. For example, here, 6 months. A shared secret, this is something that you need to grab from iTunes Connect. We'll do that in a minute, and then reuse the same identifier as the one you used on iTunes Connect. The shared secret, you can get it from here. Okay. So now I have a new subscription available here. In addition to my 1 month, I have a 6 months subscription here. Okay, that's very easy to do from the portal. And now let's just look at how this materializes inside the. As you remember, in order to build the app, we'll use App Factory, and in order to give the blueprint of the app, we use what is called the app set, which is this file that I can download here. Move it to the desktop, and I will start App Factory. And I will pick one of the 3 templates that are Newsstand enabled. There's Elegant Kiosk, Newsstand Kiosk, and Single Title Kiosk. I will take Elegant Kiosk. and simply drag my certificate and just launch it without doing any changes, and see how it so this will start the simulator and launch the app. So the app is launched. So one very important trick is often when you launch the app, then you look for the app and you don't find it on your Springboard. Remember, we are dealing with Newsstand apps, so they appear in Newsstand. Don't look for the app somewhere where it actually doesn't belong anymore. Now it's a Newsstand app and it's there. The reason it appears like that is because in my Newsstand options I've specified. So actually, this is an old app. Let's redo that. I'm setting the content of my simulator, and I will restart it. Okay. So the reason it appears like that is because I've supplied the default cover. So I can change the aspect of my app using that default cover. And once I start publishing content, it's my covers from my content that will be pushed automatically from editor. But for the moment, it looks like start the app. Because I have subscriptions, there is a subscription button that appears, and as you can see, the 6 months subscription that I've created with the name that I had given is actually being used here. The price is coming in, so everything is sort of wired automatically simply by creating the subscription in AV Publishing. So my content is here, and this app is Newsstand enabled already. So it will appear in Newsstand. It supports subscription, but it's still missing the notification, which will come to in a minute. If we go back to factory and have a look at what are the settings that are specific to Newsstand. First of all, the use Newsstand checkbox, you have to check that in order to enable Newsstand. If you don't, then your app is going to move away from Newsstand and reappear in a very standard way inside the Springboard. Here it is. It's not in Newsstand anymore, right? So you have to be careful because some of these new templates are now by default Newsstand enabled. If you want to create standard apps without Newsstand, just uncheck that box. If you check it, then you have, of course, the cover, which we already talked about, and you have some options which are called the bindings. You can decide how your icon is going to look like, if it's going to look like a magazine or like a newspaper. And it's not the aspect, let's start it. It's not the look and feel that it has when it's in the Newsstand shelf, but rather it's the look and feel that it has when you see it running here. So here, for example, it's a binding that's called magazine, which bindings on the left edge. If I change to newspaper and relaunch it, it's going to look slightly different. So you can change those options. They are standard. You have to quit the app. You see here is the newspaper. You see like sheets of content being superposed. So these are just appearance of the icon you might want to change. So that's the basic functionality to get your app working in Newsstand. But remember, Newsstand only works if your notification models is set up. And in order to do that, we need to finish what we started earlier, and by actually going on AV Publishing and specifying the notification certificate. So why do we need to do that? Because AV Publishing, when you publish a new content, will send an automatic notification to your apps, but it needs to access the notification certificate in order to be able to talk to your app. And this is why you need to actually do that operation. So in order to create that certificate, if you remember, on Apple's website, you can download this this certificate here, which is a push certificate, either production or development. But we don't use that certificate as such. We need to transform it a little bit, and there is a piece of documentation that explains how to do that, and it's available through that link that we will post. Basically, we are using a framework to send notifications, and you need to transform the Apple certificate into another certificate called PEM. And this document highlights how to do that. And we'll do it right now, so you can see that it's very easy. Okay, so to do that, the instructions tell us that we need to go to the keychain and select the notification certificate that we downloaded from Apple's portal, as well as the key, and we need to export those items. Export them, and in order to make it very simple, I'm going to use the same name as the instructions. They say export those two elements and save them as server certificates bundle sandbox. So I'm going to use that name. Replace the one I had created before. It asks for a password, leave it blank. The only thing that you need to do is you need to type in your session password twice, because we are exporting 2 items, in order to allow the export. So now I have created a new file. This one, server certificates bundle sandbox. Next thing I do is in the terminal, I will cd into that folder, and I will type that exact line from these instructions. It asks me for a password. I left it blank, so I just hit return, and I'm done. I've created that server certificates bundle sandbox PEM file, and then it's time to move to AV Publishing and simply browse to that certificate and upload it. That's it. So now the app is ready to send notifications to whenever you publish new content. Let's have a look at publishing. When you publish a new magazine, let's for example go here, create new issue. You have a new button here. It says push notification for applications. If I select that option and whenever I will publish my content, I click the OK button, it will prompt me for the list of applications that I want to notify. Remember, a single issue can be published in several applications, so you have to specify all the applications you want to send notification to. The system will send a notification, Newsstand notification for iOS 5 devices, and the apps will react to that, change the icon of the content, and launch the background download automatically for you. You don't have to do anything. We take care of the hard part. So that covers these aspects. We'll recap all that on our website, and it will be, of course, well described in the documentation that we're putting together at the moment on the subject. What I want to show you is another example of an app of a template that supports Newsstand and that offers more possibilities. which you might find really interesting. And this is the Newsstand kiosk. So this kiosk looks very different to, looks very similar to the ones we saw before. There are some the same sort of options, startup screen, the layout, and all that. But there is a new section called subscription, and the way this kiosk works is that actually let's launch it so you can see how. So I'm launching it on the same content. Okay, here it is. So this kiosk has as a standard sort of a layout. You have a store, you have a personal library, you can have your company area, the account area. And the way the screen is actually split is that you have an area for the content here at the top, and then at the bottom here, there is an area which is a web page. And it doesn't look really nice here because it's just an example of what you can do. But the idea is that we want to give you the ability to really customize very heavily this area, and by creating some marketing messages to encourage people to actually buy subscriptions. So the idea is that you can use this web area here to create very fancy designs, and the way you would actually create your you would actually promote your subscriptions is by, for example, creating buttons. So you can create very nice buttons for your monthly or 6-month subscriptions. And the idea is that by using a specific URL scheme that we detail here, by using a subscription column / the product ID of your subscription, you can actually create a link that we will interpret as the user wanting to buy this subscription. So for example, in my example here, I had created 2 subscriptions. Remember, I go back to app specifications. I have a 6 months and I think it's a 1-month subscription here. So I would use those product IDs and prepend the subscription column / string to them, and use those as the links to my buttons. I would create a 1-month button and a 6-month button, make them look really nice, and simply link, add that URL to those buttons, and we will interpret that as someone wanting to purchase your subscriptions. So you can create some very fancy layouts here. In vertical, it looks like that. In horizontal, we have the page on the right. So it's the same web page, needs to accommodate both orientations. If I go back to factory, you can see that you can specify a page when your user is subscribed and when your user is not subscribed. For example, you might want to thank him when he's subscribed. You might want to simply display the purchase button where he's not subscribed. And when the iPad is not connected, then those areas can be replaced by images, and you can provide those images here. So for example, this is the image that would be displayed when the iPad is vertical, and you can just use that to either push some message or whatever you want. So this gives you much more flexibility than the subscription button that we saw in the previous template, and it gives you more flexibility and creativity on the layout side. This template supports sort of a matrix view as well as a sort of more standard issue by issue view. Okay, that's probably it. The last part, probably before you actually submit your app to Apple, is to actually go to the Newsstand area and to enable Newsstand. and follow just the instructions. There's nothing specific to do. And that's it. You can very easily create those type of apps using App Factory and AV Publishing. I think we'll leave it for questions now. If you have any comments, please, this is the time. Thank you very much for your attention. So thank you very much for your time, and have a great day.